Good afternoon. Glad to see all of you here. Today, we are excited to talk to you about the evolution in services. What are we going to do in the AI era? Why are we doing it? And illustrate some examples, all in the next 29 minutes. The world's moving a lot faster than we have ever seen, especially in the world of AI infrastructure. In a place where people are bringing up 100,000, 200,000 GPUs in a matter of 30 days, traditionally, we've struggled to bring up probably 100 switches in about 5 to 6 months. So the expectations of what we need to do is definitely changing. So about 18 months ago, we spent time with some of our largest customers across different verticals and asked them, what would you ideally want in the AI era? And we went through the feedback, and as we categorized it, 3 elements stood out. 1, resiliency. And for us to be more resilient, don't just help us after the problem. Can you help us avoid a problem, avoid an issue? What can you do before an issue happens? Simplicity, too many tools. How can you consolidate it? How can you make it easy for us to experience whatever you provide and reduce the friction of anything that you introduce? Third one, time to value. Right? If I can eke out another 5 months out of the infrastructure, that's a good 5%, 10% more in value. So as we did all of this, we knew that we had to provide personalized, proactive, and predictive experiences at scale. So how did we go about it? Right? A lot has been made of AI. Whether it is AI infrastructure or not, the infrastructure lifecycle fundamentally doesn't change. We go through the plan, design, implement, operate, optimize, and that occasional migrate phases. And we support you through all of this through our support services and professional services. But what has fundamentally changed in the last 3 years is the availability of language models. Language models allows us to synthesize a whole bunch of information and turn it into potentially another document, or turn it into automation, or extract intent or extract meaning from it. So we spend some time to figure out how we can accelerate every single stage in the infrastructure lifecycle, and how we can go from one stage to other a lot faster. You see a couple of examples here. Example number 1, where we can use the accumulated knowledge of designs that we have done to enhance, analyze, improve upon a design document so that it incorporates all best practices that we have known. The example number 2 here is we give you a lot of documents, whether it is best practice guides, field notices, security advisories, and a lot more. So what we are doing here is processing all of it and turning into automation. And when Carlos comes up on stage, he's going to show you a fantastic demo in terms of how it is going to help efficiency, because it's a personalized output rather than you going through a whole bunch of documents. The third one is when we can go from design to an implementation phase. The best designs have been interpreted by human beings, by engineers, as it turns into an implementation. But what if we can help accelerate it by going from the design phase to the implement phase? All of this is great, but then what is the eventual effect of all of this, right? So let's talk about support. For the longest time, support has been about an incident. When an incident happens, we swarm, we help you. The better the job we do, the window is shorter, and potentially the severity of the incident is smaller. But then, what would be even better if the incident never happened at all? But for us to do that, we have to do a lot more things before the incident, and we need more predictive and proactive capabilities. The more we can do before, we can actually push out the incident. Ideally, it doesn't happen at all, and if it were to happen, the severity is a lot lower. So fundamentally, we knew that for us to evolve services, we had to take it to a place which is personalized, where instead of documentation, we give you automation as an example. Proactive, tell you more about what could happen upfront rather than later. Predictive, where we can monitor your environment, and if something could go wrong, we want to give you signals up front. So we took a step back, took a look at everything support services has to offer. When it comes to support services, we support you in many different ways, whether it is to give you insights, whether to give you visibility or assessments, incident management, etc. So we decided to bring all of this together in a very simplified interface. And that is what Cisco IQ is. Cisco IQ is not something you buy, but it is something that you experience. So all of you that have a support contract with Cisco, a professional services contract with Cisco, Cisco IQ is the delivery vehicle where we have infused the AI capabilities with the automation and the human expertise that we provide into that common unified interface. Instead of giving you peace points, we want to give you intelligence. So what does it look like? Yes, you're going to see a couple of demos where it's going to become pretty evident. So all the capabilities which come together for support services, it's going to come together in a common interface with some pretty cool capabilities in the UI, in the API, and with time, you're going to see other interfaces like MCP and A2A as well. Now, we are not limited to support services. We are expanding to professional services as well with Cisco IQ. But I want to take a pause here and talk about something cool. We have just made Cisco Support Signature now generally available. This is where we give the best of what technology has to offer and what our human expertise has to offer. And by bringing both of it together, you can have a much more resilient network, a much more resilient infrastructure, which you can trust and operate with speed and confidence. With that, I want to talk about professional services. Professional services, again, there is a lot of different places where we can leverage the power of AI to, again, accelerate a life cycle stage or go from one stage to the other. We are bringing all of this within the Cisco IQ experience, and this is going to be a broader discussion for another day with a small demo by Carlos as well. With that said, all of this is best seen with a demo with specific examples. And to cover that, inviting Carlos Pereira, a Cisco fellow, a distinguished speaker. Take it away.
Thanks, my friend. Gives out to Bhaskar. Thanks you. So Bhaskar just set the stage. We're going to try to lend this a little bit of what that means. On the 22 minutes that I have left, thank you, Bhaskar, for that. We're going to cover about support services and professional services, but we're going to touch also about deployment models. How does actually onboard, especially in situations like Europe that has sovereignty critical infrastructure as a requirement. Let's go for that. On the support services, you saw about predictive insights, assessments that are adapted, all leveraging AI power, and the troubleshooting that we leverage on how we can bring together the insights from Cisco all together with interfaces that exist with the partners. So by doing this, let's start with the first, because predictive insights, you can go for last day of support, all the way to how you bring intelligence to act upon risk exposures that are done by assessments that correlate risk, vulnerabilities, performance, and all the asset environment that you have, bought for one partner, multiple partners, along many years, if you like. Let's start with the predictive asset insights. So I have a demo here, as Bhaskar said, that shows it more. Let's run the demo.
See how Cisco IQ's intelligent asset management capability solves this problem with a simple, intuitive, intelligent, and integrated experience. You begin with a dashboard that instantly provides clarity by visualizing your assets, contracts, and devices discovered. It highlights critical areas that need attention right away, such as assets past their last date of support. This isn't just data, it's your immediate snapshot to understand the true state of your Cisco IT landscape today and confidently plan for tomorrow. You can go beyond static dashboards to hyper-personalized insights by interacting with the AI assistant. The AI assistant understands the context of the page, enabling you to ask nuanced questions, such as requesting a summary of assets past the last date of support and with critical security advisories. This is radical personalization across every interaction at scale, making you feel like Cisco's only customer and helping you intelligently anticipate potential issues versus react. For those more comfortable with classic table views, you can use filters and personalization options to fully customize the view to your specific business needs. As a network operator, you know it isn't enough to simply present a list of devices to your manager to obtain the necessary budget allocation to replace outdated equipment. Generating tailored reports for business decision makers can be another time-consuming task. To solve this need, we're also introducing an AI-powered analysis tool that distills thousands of records into a concise, actionable report. This tool helps amplify your team's expertise by reducing the cognitive load and friction in doing their jobs every day. You can further refine these reports using natural language to easily customize insights by clearly defining what matters to you and your business needs. And finally, you can download the report as a PDF to share with your business decision maker. This capability will be a foundational building block across our solutions, pushing AI naturally into the experience and as part of your workflow, because Cisco IQ makes AI work for you.
So that's a great demo that shows from the assets and all the views that we have for everything you got on Cisco. And I just want to reinforce Bhaskar's point that he mentioned that Cisco IQ is not a product, it's something that you experience. So you can experience from that UI and all the assistant, but it's going to be available through MCP interfaces, through APIs initially, so you can hook this information, for instance, on your own asset management system to validation of that. And by doing so, one of the things that we are coming on the roadmap is asset reconciliation. Why? Because you have a lot of visibility for all the contracts that you as a Cisco customer may have with us, but you buy from partners, sometimes from multiple partners along multiple times on the life cycle, refresh cycle, so on and so forth. So reconciling the information that we have, plus what you have, plus what the partners have, so you have a single source of truth. Why is that important? Because that's where we derive assessments and insights, because as much that you clean the data, you can use data to clean the data and making sure that everything is correct, so you can drive assessments for that, you can drive insights for that. Talking about assessment, this is the second aspect I want to highlight, just with two examples. The first one, which is, if you think about infrastructure from Cisco, there is a lot of products that one may consume, from the compute, networking, routing, switches, and so on and so forth. Sometimes there are some hardening guides or security recommendations or security advisors that apply. Depending on your install base, you can have a lot of them, and the documentations become very large, if you will. Bhaskar was showing how we are thinking about documentation and bringing this together. So as opposed to you trying to go over all of this, you can use AI to bring this together, to analyze, automate, and focus on what matters, which is the remediation, as opposed to spend a lot of time to try to compile different information for different sources. So I'm going to show you a demo on how, on this example, we are delivering directly with Cisco IQ that helps you with assessment straight.
When you open the Cisco IQ Assessments app, you immediately gain clarity into your security and risk landscape. You'll see a summary of Cisco's latest security advisories, intelligently ranked by severity, alongside a hyper-personalized summary showing exactly how many of your assets are exposed to the vulnerabilities detailed in these advisories. You also have a snapshot of device risk due to lack of support coverage. This is predictive power in action, turning potential threats into actionable insights. Drilling down, you get a personalized report of the most severe vulnerabilities affecting your network, how many of your devices are affected by each specific advisory, and highlighting the most critical issues to tackle first. No more sifting through generic lists. Cisco IQ tells you what matters most to you. And with our AI-powered decision-making, a further drill down provides an AI-generated summary of the advisory, direct links for full detail, and the precise list of affected devices. The same intelligence and personalization applies to field notices, ensuring you're always ahead of potential issues. For customers with enhanced support, Cisco IQ takes proactive security to the next level with AI-powered device hardening. This is where Cisco IQ truly makes your teams superhuman. By selecting security hardening, you instantly see previous assessment results run across your environment, highlighting the number of affected assets. This is the intelligent AI agent in action, seamlessly extracting and translating complex knowledge from extensive iOS XE hardening documentation into comprehensive, actionable checks. This eliminates cognitive overload and ensures you're always aligned with best practices. Clicking into an assessment result provides even more detail, including a clear summary and a precise list of affected devices. This is about providing unparalleled simplicity and clarity.
You can run an assessment on demand and drill down further to understand exactly why a device failed, with AI-generated summaries highlighting key evidence from the logs. After taking action, you can rerun the diagnostic assessment to confirm the fix was successful, ensuring you prevent avoidable outages and disruptions.
So on that demo, you saw the assessments happening. So we have the visibility from the assets before, which is kind of foundational for us to get clean to be able to run assessments like this, is where you generate insights. This example is about security. It could be about performance. It could be about the other example that we're going to show you in quantum PQC readiness. But before I go there, we did the insights, but we have actions recommendation. It doesn't mean that you need to act and automate the actions. So we use AI to generate what is the predictive aspect for the recommendation, but you go deterministic action through a framework like services code that I'm going to cover, or some other implementations. With that said, let's go for another example on assessment is post-quantum cryptography. PQC, there is multiple sessions that were happening here on Cisco Live, and this is an area where there is a lot of concerns on a lot of customers because there is this motion in the market that a lot of the actors are capturing the data to be able to decrypt later when the quantum computer is available. If you look at every install base for every customer, pretty much everybody has a list of a hardware bill of materials. So everybody knows what the hardware is. But if you ask customers what is their software bill of materials, that number reduces drastically. All the releases that exist on all the devices that you have. If you go and ask about a crypto bill of materials, so all the ciphers and all the keys that you have, it's pretty much nobody has any of this. So with Cisco IQ, we are bringing all three, and we start to bring this together as part of the asset inventory for assessment, which maps to network devices, and already investigating for the roadmap how we bring extra intellectual capital that exists from Cisco and differentiations like encrypted traffic analytics or even network analyzers to go beyond the network device to the whole network. So stay tuned, because that's an area of focus for us. Last but not least, on the support, AI-powered troubleshooting. There are three aspects of this. One is automated troubleshooting, which is aimed to faster time to resolution. Usually we get between 2 and 4 times faster just by having the Cisco Support Assistant helping on the resolution of the case. Cisco Support Assistant has been available for a long time in multimodality forms, and it also helps with the RMA, automated RMA, reconcile the potential errors, predict some of the RMAs. This is being shipping, and the same support assistant that has all these modalities and all these modes of operations is also embedded in product, like our security portfolio and others. For that, it's now also showing IQ. Let me run a demo that shows you the potential for this and what is coming.
We've identified a potential vulnerability on a Catalyst 9300 switch. Instead of digging through dense hardening guides, we simply ask the AI assistant to identify workarounds. The assistant used detailed reasoning to confirm that while no direct Cisco-supported workaround exists for this vulnerability, it only impacts devices configured as a DHCP relay. This is contextualized insight in action. Unfortunately, our device is configured as a DHCP relay. We need the assistant to provide us with a Cisco-supported solution. The AI assistant identifies the exact software fix and offers to recommend a minimal and safe upgrade path tailored to our specific configuration. To ensure a resilient transition, we request the assistant run pre- and post-software upgrade health checks, as well as open a TAC case to ensure full Cisco support during the upgrade process. The AI assistant makes this quick and easy by leveraging all the context and details of our conversation, including device software version and configurations, and automatically opens a case. Finally, we can customize the request to better personalize our experience. We request this case be assigned to a TAC engineer whose shift time corresponds with our specific maintenance window. No jumping between channels, no deciphering inconsistent processes, just a seamless, connected experience from identification to resolution.
This is absolutely amazing. Realizing we start with the asset, the visibility, we have the insights from assessments, we have all the actions, and here we talk about technology. We have an example of Catalyst 9300, this is one box, but support from Cisco gets for everything, the whole network. We have the people, and the process, the time and the maintenance, we know all of that together in context. So that pretty much covered the support, but let's jump on professional service real quick. And the first area that we're going to cover is service as code for infrastructure management lifecycle. That's an area that we're investing extremely heavily, that there is a lot of reference and customers here in Europe that has this running in production. And it's basically automation for the infrastructure provisioning that has version control and test and validation continuously way. There is a migration framework, the technical migration framework that we announced this week at Cisco Live with AI augmentation. And last but not least, software recommendation, which most likely I won't have time to cover in details, but right behind us on the CX booth, you can go this. Let's start with the services code. So this is an example of a customer here in Europe that before implementing the services code framework with the Cisco CX helps together with a partner, you're taking between a full day and 2 days to make changes because a lot of this was manually driven, very heavy people dependent, and a lot of these configurations were not revised properly, and some of those mistakes were pushed into production. In fact, just for you to know, a secret that I'm going recording, almost 25% of all cases that are open a Cisco attack are related to configuration mistakes. Is the famous fat tumbling, kind of you configured this stuff. People do this today at a high scales, and it goes to production. This avoids that, not only to make test and validation up front, but also to make it much faster. You see the numbers there. And services as code is an area that a lot of people ask me, like, hey, what's the difference between service as code and infrastructure as code? So let me try to explain you. Infrastructure as code is a term, is a technology that exists for a long time. And you have vendors like Red Hat with Ansible and Terraform. So this is open source, available, everybody can use. So what Cisco did, they took those frameworks and this technology and built the models and resources on top of that. So you have a Terraform plan for Meraki, for Catalyst, for the firewalls, and so on and so forth. And this is available, public, and open source. So far with me? Great. So he took that foundation that anybody can have for all the Cisco portfolio, and we added the value for Cisco CS on top of this by having a semantic data validation that allows to do this configuration and validation and testing up front against what good looks like. Because guess what? I've done a lot of those over the years. And in addition to this, we have the automation test that context-driven. What does it mean? Context for your networking. It is a data center. Is it a data center in a campus? Does it have branches and all of this together? So we put this on a CI/CD pipeline for automation using a DevOps or DevSecOps mindset. And with that, we provide support together. This is services as code and the results that goes there. As simple as it gets, leverages open source across the whole portfolio as this slides conveys, goes on implementation, the execution, and we evolve from there. We have customers that start with the data center and go into branches and the other way around. If you want to see a full demo for this, because I don't have time to go in all the nuances that you can expect, right behind us there are people that's going to be happy with you. There are chocolates there. There are still half of them. I don't know if there is. Lara is responsible for the chocolates. You can go for her. But services code is something that is extremely important for us as we work with our customers and our partners out there. Last but not least, there is the migration framework that we announced this week at Cisco Live, augmented by AI. And the logic between the migration framework is basically leverage a proven aspect that reduces risk. We all been there. Migration is a pain on the backyard. Because you need to think like, I'm in a current state, I need to go for the new state, and there is a lot of variables that goes with that. Typically, you need to discover what you get for where you're migrating, and you need to build a strategy for that. And the strategy is people, process, technology, prayers, a lot of things that goes with that strategy. And then you're planning for two lanes, the migration itself and the risk that can come with this. And sometimes you don't necessarily know exactly the risk because let's say if I'm migrating for a branch on a bank, you can do this only at certain given times. But if I'm a branch on a retail, your weekends is where you make a lot of money, so you're not going to stop there. So there's a lot of those practical nuances that people think about. And obviously, when you have all this planning due, you need to execute, and you need to validate. So you look at this as how we can codify this, and by codifying this, actually get AI to augment some of that, especially if I'm doing a configuration change or a migration from X to Y. And from that sense, let me try to explain what X and Y actually means. We have migrations that typically people thinking about migration for box A to box B. Like, hey, I'm an old Cisco router. I'm going for a new Cisco router. It used to run iOS. I go run iOS XR. That's a valid one. Or you have a competitor device that I don't dare pronounce the name because it will be considered as a curse, and you migrate to a Chinese Cisco box. Still valid for a migration, right? There are two other types of migrations that exist. One is you have transition for an operating model that's different than another one. So you have a lot of devices that are now run under a controller base, like the conversions with Meraki. Or you have a lot of direct tunnels, and you now run under an SD-WAN, which is a controller base. It's still a migration, but it's a topological migration. Or you change completely how your network works. Like you are a service provider, you used to run an MPLS network, you now change for a segment router V6 network. Still migration, different scope. So as part of our professional service and augmentation with the Cisco IQ and all the AI, we are helping on all these phases as it relates to migration. One last thing that I want to leave you with on the 3 minutes and 35 seconds that I still have left. There is a joke behind the scenes that I wouldn't make it on time. I'll have time left for questions if you want to. The last part that I want to touch upon is deployment models and telemetry. This is a very interesting point, especially for this region in Europe, that has to do with how you onboard Cisco IQ. Cisco IQ pretty much has two parts, if you will. One part that is the on-premises, and another part that can run on the cloud. Think about this. We have three deployment models. One that is SaaS, where is the assets, assessments, and troubleshooting, with the three applications that I just showed the demos for you before. They run on the cloud, and you have an on-premises virtual machine or the instance that runs a software substract when you have a connector that sends the telemetry. It's a connector because it's bidirectional. If I have a definition of assessment, you define that you want to automate, I need to have another path back that is guaranteed by you as given access based on your policy and governance. Right? So far, so good. That would be the easy way. We don't take the easy way. Bhaskar and I lost the head, he doesn't yet, but we got the hard way, so we have the on-premises as well. The on-premises tether environment means you have the VM, all this runs on your on-premises environment, but you still had some common service that runs on the cloud. For instance, remember the AI assessments? There is an LLM that needs to run somewhere, right? It would be an example of a functionality of a common service that runs on the cloud, where everything else runs on premises. And we have the full air-gapped mode, which is you run everything on premises. Include, let's say on my example, the LLM, that could be either LLM proxy for something that you may have on premises, like we have a lot of customers in Europe with Mistral, as an example. Or we are working and trying to develop an SLM, and Shuba is here, is part of that engineering team, all the bright minds behind that, so as to provide you all the functionality and all the capabilities. Both air-gapped on-premises completely or tether, they meet the sovereignty infrastructure requirements that exist here in Europe. This is available for you here based on the regulations that exist on your market. With that said, with 1 minute and 6 seconds to go, I want you to know that you have a lot of demos just behind you on the Cisco customer experience. There is full screens on Cisco IQ and all those assessments, not on video, real life demos, services code, and a lot of other things that relates with the CX. All of our team is here. If you have any other questions, please reach out. Thank you very much.